And Roger Stone joins us for just one segment. He's a busy bee. I'm going to come back and go to Brandon, John, Mark, Jim, Lewis, Tristan, and others on the other side of this segment. Roger Stone talked about it months ago. He said there are recordings, women are recording, people offering them money, but smartly folks are holding back with those till they do their main push. Well, now we've got it in the Hill after O'Reilly alluded to it, forcing it out. Exclusive, prominent lawyers sought donor cash for 2 Trump accusers. Roger Stone, former head of the Trump 2016 campaign. Thank you for joining us.
Alex, I really feel like the forces of freedom are on the move, and we've got the globalist scum on the run.
Yes.
Well, the allegations against Donald Trump, which I have declared to be phony from the very beginning, are really starting to crumble. Extraordinary breaking news by John Solomon. You remember him. He's the guy who, with Sarah Carter, broke the story about the FISA court declaring that 30,000 Americans had been spied on, an act of political espionage by the Obama administration. Now breaks the news that Lisa Bloom, the California attorney who is the daughter of Gloria Allred, was involved in raising money to pay women to raise these allegations against Trump. Also trying to shake down media organizations for a commission trying to sell their fake news stories. And in one case, offered one woman as much as $750,000 to come forward and bear false witness against the president. I watched that press conference. I rolled it back and watched it 3 times when they brought out the so-called victims. These women are, quote, coached. They are forced. The whole thing stinks to high heaven.
Oh, it's ridiculous. And they say, oh, he asked for my phone number. And they're like, oh, my God, that's Megyn Kelly just acts shocked. And meanwhile, let's be honest, you know Trump well, you've known him 44 years. This is not Donald Trump's type. I mean, I'm sorry, the woman looks like a praying mantis.
Yeah, none of these women were his type. When he was single, he dated supermodels and virtually only supermodels.
What about your wife? I tell you, she's a Latina supermodel. I've met her. Good Lord.
Well, I have high standards myself. But I mean, look at Melania Trump. Cultured, refined, gracious, beautiful, kind, just a wonderful, wonderful person. Provides great balance, I think, for the president's life.
Incredible poise, incredible presence.
Well, she speaks 4 languages. She's a highly cultured person, but she's very decent. She's very approachable, very likable. That's the Trump type.
What's crazy about her is she has all that incredible luster and power, but there's almost something provincial and farmer-like about her, something very traditional.
She's just a very good person. She's a very kind-hearted person, and she doesn't love politics. She told me that. She doesn't love the limelight, but she understands what he has to do for the country. And I really believe she was a definitive factor in him deciding to give up the greatest lifestyle in the world to go to the service of his country.
And notice she's unscripted up there doing the Lord's Prayer. It's awesome.
Well, look, he didn't need to run for president to be somebody. This wasn't about him. It was about the country. He's giving up a lot to take this beat.
And you've said that Trump is very fatalistic, and not in a bad way. He's just committed. He's doing it. That's the end of it, and whatever happens, happens.
Well, I always point to that interview he gave with Oprah Winfrey 15, 20 years ago when she said, Donald, what about running for public office? Would you ever run for president? He said, no, I don't think so. Unless things get so bad that I have no choice. That's where we are today. You've taken the beatings. I've taken the beatings. It's unsafe to go out in public and say you're a Trump supporter, even though I think we have a silent majority. It's so politically incorrect to stand up for our president. And people are so, mau-mowed by the mainstream media and the abuse you take. But he's unbowed and he's unbroken. He is unbought and unbossed.
So what happens next? Because the word is from you and many others is there's a bunch of tapes, a bunch of women who didn't go with the payoffs, who are ready to release them. You think it's smart to hold off until they launch their main barrage?
I think you have to hold some of the ammunition back. I am chasing a very active story that one of the women who's an accuser who was on The Apprentice and claims Trump sexually assaulted her, lied repeatedly in her applications to even get on the show. Well, if you lie about one thing, you'll lie about everything. And we're going to have more about that in Austin next week.
You're going to be in studio next week. What about, since you mentioned that, Trey Gowdy saying, I think that the new FBI director is going to be gone by next week. Total proof of collusion. It's all fake. It's all imploding. Mainstream media just keeps acting like it's not happening. But, I mean, where is the Russia investigation? I mean, if it's not already sunk, isn't it about to go under?
Well, you would certainly think so. They've come up empty-handed. But then you watch, hear no evil, see no evil, know no evil, Rod Rosenstein's tap dance before the House Intelligence Committee yesterday, and you got to shake your head when asked directly, do you see the bias of Robert Mueller? He says, no, I just don't see it. This guy's got all the visual acuity of Stevie Wonder.
Man, I watched the hearings, and just everybody involved hates Trump. Democrats, they make a fake dossier. They lie to get a warrant. They lie about doing that. They get caught. And here's the big one, Roger. What about the head of the Russia operation in the Justice Department being the one that recommends the millions of dollars to go to Fusion GPS when his wife was running that program? I mean, isn't that another issue, the money going from a husband to a wife?
Well, absolutely. Follow the money, as we learned in Watergate. Now, this thing is just, the fish is rotten from the head down. And then, Alex, yesterday, stunning me, as you know, I'm being sued along with Donald Trump in the District of Columbia by this phony Obama-blessed group, Project for Democracy.
Well, let's be clear. They're literally Obama's lawyers, and he admits he runs it. We'll have to hold you over to a few minutes on that, but let's start getting into this insanity. They're suing you for Russian collusion with no proof.
But it's even worse than that. Yesterday, John Brennan, Mike Hayden, and Jim Clapper, three former NSA officials and the CIA director under Barack Obama, three members of the Shaved Head Brigade, filed an amicus brief in the court claiming that, oh, yes, the Russians hacked the DNC and Stone gave the information to WikiLeaks. Bogus, completely false.
And by the way, think about how criminal that is. They say, oh, we can't tell you because it's classified, but they testify through a brief, unheard of. Even Law Journal said this has never been done before, with literal made-up pulp fiction that they inject in to show a jury in a trial suing you for being a Russian agent with no proof, and then the very agency heads that illegally spied on America just say, because of our gravitas, we say Roger Stone did this. Stay right there. I got to do a few more minutes with you. This is insane. And then they have hearings saying I'm a Russian agent. Hey, they'll probably sue me and have a file, and Brennan will say, I say so, it's true, you dirty scum. Man. All right, Roger's got to go into a very important meeting, so let me be with us a few more minutes, and I promise I'm going right to your calls. But just think about the magnitude that I'm calmly here talking about how they have congressional hearings with no proof. They just say I'm a Russian agent. And they've got immunity in Congress to say that. They don't say it, you notice, on TV. But they say Tucker Carlson is on television. They say Rand Paul is, Roger Stone. And then you have Clapper, the same guy that famously told Congress a couple years ago there's no spying, period, in the U.S. by any agency. Clapper denied NSA surveillance before Senate panel in March testimony. Now he says he forgot about the spying. You guys had that article during the break. I pulled it up. Can we put that one up? Because he says, I forgot. Spy chief forgotten about NSA program. They also said they weren't spying on candidate Trump or President-elect Trump. Now it turns out they were. I mean, these are the people in an amicus brief in a lawsuit against the president and Roger Stone saying they're Russian agents with no proof. And they say, we can't testify, we won't come, but just use our office to know they're Russian agents. Well, you're agents of lies and fraud and sacks of garbage. I mean, this overturns, even liberal publications said nothing like this has ever happened, Roger. So I know you got to go, but just recap how insane this is.
Yeah, Alex, it's extraordinary. See, I don't get to question them. I don't get to cross-examine them. They just intercede in this lawsuit. You have the John Brennan, the Islamic convert to radical Islam, who's the former CIA director. You have James Clapper, a guy who lied under oath, said, oh, no, we have no metadata collection program. That doesn't exist. Why is it, what they indict Mike Flynn for lying over something innocuous, over something legal, yet there's no indictment of Clapper. And then you have Mike Hayden, the Bush-era NSA director. These guys interject themselves into this lawsuit against Donald Trump and myself. The idea here, I think, is to just run up our legal bills and silence us. Well, as long as I'm on InfoWars, I will never be silenced by these clowns.
And they've banned you off. They've banned you off Twitter because all you do is keep breaking huge news because you're a fact. I mean, this is insane.
Well, and it appears to me that I just was like a test case. I think come December 18th, all conservative voices will be banned off Twitter. I think I was just earlier than everyone else. Their new rules are going to be to gag anybody who stands up for freedom or stands up for Donald Trump or stands up against the globalists.
And then Keith Olbermann, though, can call for our deaths, but that's okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never been able to understand how he types while wearing a straitjacket.
I was about to say, last thing.
It's a fruitcake.
You notice all over the news, the Democrats, CNN said it's bullying Don Lemon to call him stupid. He's a public figure that calls Trump a racist, all these names, and then a grown man can't handle another grown man calling him stupid. And they say they're going to ban the president off Twitter.
Yeah, if the shoe fits, I mean, Don Lemon is not an intellectual giant, to say the least. I've heard a great story about him going into a restaurant and trying to order sorbet. He said, "You mean sorbet?" He says, "No, sorbet." So I mean, look, this guy is no genius. But if you can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen. I mean, he bashes the president, says that he's mentally incompetent, that he's losing touch with reality. Oh, that's perfectly all right. And when the president comes back and correctly says he's dumb as a brick, oh, he's bullying the media. What a bunch of nonsense.
All right, Roger, thank you for getting your meeting. But I tell you, I agree the forces of good are on the march, but the hubris, the arrogance, the insanity of the Democrats, the globalists, the mainstream media is still a dangerous combination. And we're all sitting on the edge of something big here. Thank you, Roger.
Well, I'm heading to Austin. I look forward to being with you Monday and Tuesday next week in studio.
Great. Thank you, Roger.
Many thanks, Alex.
Okay.